Chapter 8. As I walk down the street after lunch, I feel exhilarated. Bonnie's amazing. She's the best assistant Luke's ever had by a million miles, and we're going to make a fabulous duo. Plus, I've already phoned that concierge company she recommended and been put through to their party division. Everything's going so easily. Why on earth have I never used a concierge service before? They all seem really pleasant, and it's as though nothing's too much trouble. We have to become members. According to the disembodied voice that talks while you're waiting, they can do anything from getting sold-out theater tickets to chartering a plane to getting someone to bring you a cup of tea in the middle of the Navajo desert. You know, if you wanted one. Hi, a cheery-sounding guy comes onto the line. My name's Rupert. Harry explained the brief. You're looking for the ultimate surprise party for your husband. Yes, with fire eaters and jugglers and a marquee and a disco. Okay, let's see. He pauses and I can hear the flipping of pages. We've recently organized a birthday party for 300 in a series of Bedouin tents. We had jugglers, fire eaters, 3 international buffets, dancing on a starlit floor. The birthday girl arrived on an elephant, award-winning cameraman to capture the event. I'm breathless just listening to the list. I want that one. I say that exact one. It sounds fab. Great, he laughs. Well, maybe we could meet up, finesse the details. You could look at the rest of our event portfolio. I'd love to, I say joyfully. My name is Becky. I'll give you my number. Just one small detail, adds Rupert pleasantly, after I've dictated my mobile phone number. You'll have to join the service. Obviously we can fast-track your membership. I'd love to, I say firmly. I was thinking of doing it anyway. This is so cool. We're going to have a private concierge service. We'll be able to get into concerts in all the best hotels and secret clubs. I should have done this years ago. So I'll email those forms to you this afternoon, Rupert's saying. Fab. How much does it cost? I add as an afterthought. The annual fee is all-inclusive, replies Rupert smoothly. We don't sting you for any extra charges, unlike some of our competitors. And for you and your husband, it would come in at $6. Oh, right, I say uncertainly. 600 pounds, you mean? 1,000, he gives a relaxed laugh, I'm afraid. 6,000 pounds just for the annual fee? Yikes. I'm sure it's worth it, but... And I swallow, hardly daring to ask. That party we were talking about, with the tents and the jugglers and everything, about how much would that cost? That came in under budget, you'll be pleased to hear, Rupert gives a little laugh. The total was 230. I feel a bit wobbly. 230,000 pounds. Becky, are you still there? Obviously, we can work with budgets a lot smaller than that. He sounds cheery and lighthearted. 100 grand would normally be our starting point. Right, my voice is a bit shrill. Great, well, you know what? Actually, thinking about it, I'm still at a very early planning stage, so maybe I'll call you back and we can have a meeting at a later date. Thanks so much, bye. I switch off my phone before my cheeks can turn any redder. 230,000 pounds for a party? I really love Luke and everything, but 230,000... Becky... I look up and jump a mile. It's Luke. What's Luke doing here? He's standing about 3 yards away, staring at me in astonishment. To my sudden horror, I realize I'm holding the transparent folder full of guest lists, conference details, and everything else. I'm about to give the whole bloody thing away. What a surprise. He comes forward to kiss me, and I feel a spurt of panic. I hastily try to stuff the folder away, but in my confusion, drop it on the pavement. Let me, he bends down. No, I yell, it's private. It's confidential. Personal shopping details of a member of the Saudi royal family. Highly sensitive, I hastily scrabble for it, folding it up as best I can and shoving the whole lot in my bag. There. I bob up again and smile fixedly. So, how are you? Luke doesn't answer. He's giving me one of those looks, one of those something's going on looks. Becky, what's up? Were you coming to see me? No, I retort sharply. Of course not. So what are you doing in this area? Immediately I realized my crucial mistake. I should have said I was coming to see him. I try to think quickly of a good reason for being in EC2 at lunchtime. I'm trying to get to know the city better. I'm doing it postcode by postcode. You should see SE24. It's fab. There's silence. Becky. Luke runs both hands through his thick dark hair. Be honest with me. Are you in some kind of financial trouble? Have you been seeing someone? What? No, I exclaim, offended. Of course not. At least no more than normal, I add, feeling the need to be honest. That is so typical of you, Luke. You bump into me on the street and immediately assume I'm in debt. I am in debt, but that's hardly the point. Well, what am I supposed to think? He replies heatedly. You act shiftily. You're hiding paperwork from me. Obviously something's going on. Oh gosh. I have to deflect him. Okay, I say, you got me. I was, my mind gropes frantically, having Botox. Luke's face drops and I take the opportunity to zip my bag shut. Botox? He says in disbelieving tones. Yes, I say defiantly, Botox. I wasn't going to tell you, and that's why I was acting weird. There, perfect. Botox, he says again. You had Botox. Yes. I suddenly realize I'm speaking with too much animation. I try to make my face all rigid and starey, like middle-aged celebrities. But too late, Luke's peering closely at my face. Where did you have it? Here. I point gingerly to my temple, and there, and here. But Luke looks puzzled. Aren't the lines supposed to disappear? What? He's got a nerve. I don't have any lines. Like, maybe the teeniest odd little line, which you can hardly see. It's very subtle, I say pointedly. It's the new technique. Less is more. Luke sighs. Becky, how much did you pay for this? Where did you have it done? Because there are girls at work who have had Botox, and I have to say, oh gosh, I'd better get him off the subject of Botox quickly, or he'll be saying, let's go to the clinic right now and get our money back. I only had a tiny bit of Botox, I say hurriedly. I was really there about another procedure. Something else? Luke stares at me. What, for gosh sakes? My mind is utterly blank. Procedure. What do people have done? Boobs? I hear myself saying, a boob job? From his aghast expression that possibly wasn't the right way to go. A boob job? He manages at last. You had a... No, I was just thinking about having one. Jesus Christ. Luke rubs his brow. Becky, we need to talk about this. Let's get off the street. He takes my arm and leads me towards a nearby bar. As soon as we're inside the door, he turns and takes me by the shoulder so hard I gasp in surprise. Becky, I love you. However you look, whatever shape you are, and the thought that you felt you had to go off secretly, it kills me. Please, 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 don't ever do that again. I never expected him to react like that. In fact, he looked so upset, I feel suddenly terrible. Why did I have to make up something so stupid? Why couldn't I have said I was meeting a client at her office? A million good excuses are coming to mind now, none of which involve clinics or boob jobs. Luke, I'm sorry, I falter. I should never have thought about it. I didn't mean to worry you. You're perfect, he says almost fiercely. You don't need to change one hair, one freckle, one little toe. And if it's me that's made you feel you should do this, then there's something wrong with me. I think this is the most romantic thing Luke has ever said to me ever. I can feel tears rising. It was nothing to do with you, I gulp. It was, the pressures of society and everything. Do you even know this place is safe? He reaches for the bag. Let me have a look. A lot of these so-called surgeons are irresponsible cowboys. I'm going to get on to our company doctor. No. I instinctively pull my bag close to my chest. It's okay, Luke. I know it's safe. No, you don't. He almost shouts in frustration. It's major fucking surgery, Becky. Do you realize that? And the idea that you would go off like this in secret, risking your life, without even thinking of me or Minnie. I wouldn't risk my life, I say desperately. I'd never have surgery without telling you. It's one of those lunchtime keyhole ones where they just give you an injection. You think that makes it okay? He doesn't let up an iota. That sounds even more dodgy to me. What exactly does it involve? I'm sure I've read something about lunchtime boob jobs in Marie Claire, only I can't quite remember the details now. It's very minimal, very safe. I rub my nose, playing for time. They mark the area and inject a kind of special foam into the capillaries, and it expands. You mean they inflate? Inflate? He stares at me. Kind of. I try to sound confident, just a bit, a size or two. I make what I hope is a realistic gesture at my chest. Over what sort of time period? I scrabble around for something convincing. About a week. Your breasts inflate over the course of a week. He seems staggered at this idea. Shit, I should have said an hour. Depends on your body type, I add hastily, and your personal breast metabolism. Sometimes it only takes 5 minutes. Everyone's different. Anyway, I won't be doing it. You're right. I should never have gone off in secret. I gaze up at him with my most heartfelt expression. I'm sorry, Luke. I owe it to you and Minnie not to put myself at risk, and I've learned my lesson now. I was hoping Luke might give me a kiss and tell me how perfect I am again, but his face has kind of changed. He doesn't seem quite so upset and tortured as he did before. In fact, he's eyeing me with a familiar kind of expression, something quite near suspicion. What's the name of the clinic? He says lightly. I can't remember now, I cough. Anyway, let's not talk about it anymore. I feel so bad, Luke. You could look at the paperwork. He gestures at my bag. I'll look later, I nod. Later, when I'm less upset at the worry I caused you. Luke's still just giving me that look of his. Oh, gosh. He's twigged, hasn't he? At least he's twigged I wasn't at a boob job clinic. Do you want a drink? He says abruptly. Okay, I say, my heart pounding. Do you have time? I can sneak 15 minutes. He glances at his watch. Don't tell my assistant. Of course not. You have a slightly unnatural laugh. Not that I even know her. You do know her. Luke gives me a puzzled look as he heads to the bar. Bonnie? You've met. Oh, right, of course. I subside into a chair and unfurl my clenched fingers from around my bag. This whole secret party lark is totally stressy. I've only just started. Cheers. Luke has returned to the table with 2 glasses of wine, and we clink glasses. For a while, there's a silence as we sip. Luke keeps eyeing me over the top of his glass. Then, as though coming to a decision, he puts it down. So, some good news. We've got a couple of new clients, not financial. Ooh, I look up with interest too. Let it be Gucci, let it be Gucci. The first is a climate technology company. They're lobbying for investment in a new carbon absorption project and want us to come on board. Could be interesting. Carbon absorption. Great, I say warmly. Well done. What about the other one? The other one is quite a coup, he begins, his eyes sparkling. Then he hesitates, glances at me, and sips his wine. Actually, that's not quite firmed up yet. I'll let you know when it is. Don't want to jinx it. Well, congratulations anyway. I lift my glass. I guess you need a bit of good news at the moment. It's not great out there. He raises his eyebrows wryly. How about your shopping department? I can't imagine that's done great the last few days either. Well, actually, I'm about to tell him about my fab new system where people can hide their shopping from their husbands. Then I stop. On second thoughts, maybe I won't. We're holding up, I say instead, you know. Luke nods and takes another sip of wine, leaning back in his chair. It's nice to have a few moments, just the two of us. You should come this way more often. Although, maybe not to the plastic surgery clinic. Again, he shoots me that skeptical look. Is he going to push it or not? I just can't tell. So, did you see the email about the nannies? I change the subject quickly. Aren't they fab? Yes, he nods. I was impressed. We've already had loads of CVs sent through from Ultimate Nannies, and each one looks better than the last. One speaks 5 languages, one has sailed across the Atlantic, and one has 2 degrees in history of art. If one of them can't make Minnie well-balanced and accomplished, I don't know who can. I'd better go. Luke gets to his feet and I grab my bag. We head to the street and Luke pauses to kiss me. See you later, Becky. See you, I nod. I'm off the hook. He's just going to leave it, even though there's no way in a million years he believes the boob job story. Thanks for trusting me, I want to message silently back into his head. I wasn't doing anything bad, promise. I hold my breath and watch him walk away till he rounds the corner. Then I collapse on a nearby bench, pull out a compact mirror, and start studying my face in detail. Okay, Luke knows nothing about anything. I could easily have had Botox. Look at that totally smooth bit right by my hair. He must be blind. I get back to the Look to find Jasmine on the phone. Yeah, 2 o'clock, no problem. She's saying, see you then. She puts the receiver down and gives me a look of triumphant joy. Parentheses, that's to say, one corner of her mouth raises reluctantly in a smile. I've learned to read Jasmine pretty well. Close parentheses. Well, your plan's working. 3 clients have uncanceled their appointments. Fantastic. And there's a customer waiting right now. Jasmine has no appointment. Says she wants to see you, no one else. She's lurking around the floor till you get back. Okay, I say in surprise. Well, just give me a minute. I hurry to my dressing room, put my bag away, and freshen up my lip gloss, wondering who it might be. People do quite often drop in without an appointment, so it could be anybody. Gosh, I hope it's not that girl who wants to look like Jennifer Aniston, because the truth is, she's never going to in a million years, however many halter tops she buys. Rebecca. A familiar, haughty voice interrupts my thoughts. For an instant, I can't react. I think I might be dreaming. The back of my neck is prickling as I finally turn round, and there she is, immaculate as ever in a pistachio-colored suit, rigid hair, equally immobile face, and her crocodile Birkin dangling from one skinny arm. It was her, shoots through my mind. It was her outside the church. Eleanor, I manage, what a surprise. This would be the understatement of the year. Hello, Rebecca. She looks around the dressing room disdainfully as though to say, I expected no better, which is a nerve as it's just been redecorated. What can I do for you? I say at last. I wish to... She stops and there's a long frozen silence. I feel as though we're in a play and we've both forgotten our lines. What the hell are you doing here? Is what I really want to say. Or frankly just, This silence is getting ridiculous. We can't stand here forever like 2 mannequins. Eleanor told Jasmine she was a customer. Well, fine, I'll treat her like a customer. So are you after anything in particular? I'd take out my notepad just as if she were any other client. Daywear, perhaps? We have some new Chanel pieces in, which I believe might be your style. Very well, says Eleanor after a lengthy pause. What? She's going to try on clothes? Here? Seriously? Okay, I say, feeling a bit surreal. Fine. I'll select some pieces that I think would suit you. I go to collect the clothes myself, return to the dressing room, and hand them to Eleanor. Feel free to try on as many or as few as you like, I say politely. I'll be just outside if you need any advice or help. I close the door quietly and give a silent scream. Eleanor, here. What the fuck is going on? I'm going to tell Luke about this. The whole thing is too freaky. I suddenly wish I'd pressed Luke more on what exactly happened between them and what heinous thing she said. Should I be telling Eleanor dramatically to get out now and never darken the door of the Look again? But if I did that, I'd probably get fired. After about a minute, the door opens again and Eleanor appears, holding the whole armful of clothes. She can't have tried them on. She hasn't had nearly enough time. Shall I take those for you? I force myself to stay polite. Yes, they were satisfactory, she nods. For a moment, I think I can't have understood. You mean you want to take them? I say disbelievingly. You're going to buy them? Very well, yes. She frowns impatiently as though this conversation is already irritating her. 8 grand's worth of clothes, just like that. My bonus is going to be fantastic. Okay, well, that's great. I'm trying to suppress my glee. Any alterations needed or anything? Eleanor shakes her head with the barest of movements. This is officially the most bizarre appointment I've ever known. Most people, if they were going to spend $8,000 on clothes, would at least come out and do a twirl and say, "What do you think?" Jasmine passes by with a rack of clothes, and I see her eyeing Eleanor incredulously. She is quite a sight, Eleanor, with her pale, tight, over-made-up face and veiny hands laden with rocks and her steely, imperious gaze. She's looking older, too, I abruptly realize. Her skin is looking thin and papery. I can see a couple of gray wisps at her temple, which the hairdresser obviously missed. Parentheses, I expect he'll be shot at Dolan, close parentheses. So, is there anything else I can help you with? Evening wear, accessories? Eleanor opens her mouth, then she closes it, then opens it again. She looks as though she's really struggling to utter something, and I watch in apprehension. Is she going to mention Luke? Does she have some piece of bad news? There has to be a reason she's come here. Evening wear, she murmurs at last. Yeah, right. That's really what you're about to say. I fetch her 6 evening dresses, and she chooses 3. And then 2 bags, and a stole. The whole thing is becoming farcical. She's spent about $20,000, and she still won't look me in the eye, and she still won't say whatever she's come here to say. Would you like any refreshments? I say at last, trying to sound normal and pleasant. Can I get you a cappuccino, a cup of tea, a glass of champagne? We've run out of categories of clothes. She can't buy anything else. She can't stave it off any longer, whatever it is. Eleanor's just standing there, her head bowed slightly, her hands clutched around the handle of her bag. I've never known her this subdued. It's almost scary. And she hasn't insulted me once, I realize in sudden astonishment. She hasn't said my shoes are shoddy or my nail polish is vulgar. What's up with her? Is she ill? At last, as though with a huge effort, she raises her head. Rebecca. Yes, I say nervously. What is it? When she speaks again, it's so quietly I can barely hear her. I wish to see my grandchild. Oh gosh, what do I do? All the way home, my head is spinning. Never in a million years did I think this would happen. I didn't think Eleanor was even interested in Minnie. When Minnie was first born, she didn't bother visiting us for about 3 months. Then she just pitched up one day with her driver waiting outside, glanced into the crib, said, "Is she normal?" And when we'd said yes, left. And whereas most people give you gorgeous things like teddies or cute booties, Eleanor sent the most hideous antique doll with ringlets and scary eyes like in a horror film. It was so creepy, Mom wouldn't have it in the house. And in the end, I sold it on eBay. Parentheses, so Eleanor had better not ask to see it or anything. Close parentheses. And all this was before the big row between her and Luke. Since when we've barely mentioned her name. I think it's supposed to say since then we barely mentioned her name. About 2 months before Christmas, I tried to ask if we'd be giving her a present, and Luke nearly bit my head off. I haven't dared mention her since. Of course, there's one easy option ahead of me. I could just throw her card in the bin and pretend I never saw her. blanked the whole thing from my mind. I mean, what could she do about it? But somehow, I can't bring myself to. I've never seen Eleanor look vulnerable before, not like she did today. During those tense moments when she was waiting for me to answer, I couldn't see Eleanor the Ice Queen. I just saw Eleanor, the lonely old woman with papery hands. Then, as soon as I said, okay, I'll ask Luke, she immediately reverted to her normal Sub-Zero manner and started telling me how inferior the look was to shops in Manhattan and how the English didn't understand service culture and how there were specks on the carpet in the dressing room. But somehow she'd got under my skin. I can't ignore her. I can't throw her card away. She may be a total bitch ice queen, but she is Minnie's grandmother. They are flesh and blood. You know, if Eleanor had any of either. And after all, it's possible Luke might have mellowed. What I need to do is raise the subject very carefully, very, very gently, like waving an olive branch in the air. And I'll see what happens. So that night, I wait up till Luke gets back, has kissed Minnie goodnight, had a whiskey, and is getting undressed before I broach anything. Luke, about your mother, I begin tentatively. I was thinking about Annabelle today, too. Luke turns, his face softened. Dad emailed me some old pictures of her today. I'll show you. Oh, great start, Becky. I should have been clear which mother. Now he thinks I brought up the subject of Annabelle. It's impossible to segue neatly into Eleanor. I was just thinking about, family ties. I changed tack and family traits. I add sudden inspiration. Who do you think Minnie takes after most? She totally gets being a drama queen for Mom. And she has your eyes. In fact, she probably takes after everyone in the family a little bit, even, I hesitate, my heart thumping, even your biological mother, Eleanor. I sincerely hope not, says Luke curtly and bangs the drawer shut. Okay, so he doesn't sound mellow. But she is her grandmother after all, I persist. Minnie's bound to take after her in some way or other. I don't see that, and he cuts me off. Nurture's what counts. I was always Annabelle's son, never that woman's. Yikes, that woman. Things are even worse than I thought. Right, I say feebly. I can't pipe up with, so how about we take Minnie to visit Eleanor? Not now, I'll have to leave it for the moment. So, did you have a good rest of the day? I changed topic. Not bad, he nods. And you? Get back all right? Yes, fine, I say innocently. I got a cab. Thanks for asking. Strange area to have a cosmetic surgery clinic, I was thinking. He adds casually. Not what you would expect in the financial district. I make the mistake of meeting his eye, and there's a telltale glint in it. I knew he was on to me. The only way forward is to brazen it out. Are you crazy? I retort. Makes total sense. Look at all those haggard city workers walking around. You know, a recent magazine survey showed that city workers are more prematurely aged than any other sector by 20%. I've made this up, but Luke doesn't know that, does he? And I bet it's true. You know what? I add, having a sudden bright thought. The same survey said that if people feel cherished by their bosses, they age less quickly and they work better. I'm sure. Luke is checking his BlackBerry. And it said that one way is for bosses to give their employees personalized, signed greeting cards. I persist. Isn't that interesting? Do you give people personalized cards at Brandon Communications? Uh-huh. Luke barely nods. What a nerve. I feel like saying, no, you don't. They're all just in a pile in your office, unsigned. Oh, good. I forced myself to sound casual. Because apparently people feel really happy to know their bosses signed the card themselves, and it hasn't just been done by an assistant or anything. It raises their endorphins by 15%. Luke pauses in his tapping. Yes, I've got through to him. Becky, you do read a lot of crap. Crap? It's called research, actually, I say with dignity. I thought you might be interested in how a tiny little thing like a signed birthday card could make all the difference, because a lot of bosses would just forget, but obviously not you. Ha, take that, Mr. Too Busy to Sign. For a moment, Luke is silenced. Fascinating, he says at last, but then he reaches for a pencil and makes a note on the to-do list he carries around in his pocket. I pretend not to notice, but inside I smile a little satisfied smile. Okay, now I feel we're done with this conversation, and I really don't want to reprise the one about Botox. So with an elaborate yawn, I settle down to go to sleep. But as I close my eyes, a vision of Eleanor is still lingering in my head. I actually feel guilty about her, which is very weird and a brand new experience for me, but I can't work out what to do about it now. Oh well, I'll think about it tomorrow. And there's a letter an email from Bonnie Seabright, subject cards, date 23 January 2006, to Becky Brandon. Luke has signed all the birthday cards. Many thanks, Bonnie. From Becky Brandon, subject cards, date 24 January 2006, to Bonnie Seabright. No problem. Let me know if anything else is bugging you. Becky XXX. P.S. Have you managed to mention the gym yet? Then another letter. Central Departmental Unit. Side note, I'm reading this from a version on the internet, so I'm not sure if these two letters go at the end of this chapter or if they're at the beginning of the next, because I'm remembering in my mind, and usually the Shopaholic books, the letters come at the beginning of the chapters and not at the end, so that's where they usually are, but it hasn't said chapter 9 yet. This is still technically in chapter 8. End of side note. The next letter, Central Departmental Unit for Monetary Policy. 5th floor, 180 Whitehall Place, London SW1. Ms. Rebecca Brandon, The Pines, 43 Elton Road, Oxshott, Surrey. 6 February 2006. Dear Rebecca, thank you for your letter of 1 February. The Chancellor has indeed made a recent speech in which he highlighted the importance of retail to the British economy. Unfortunately, at this time, there are no specific OBEs or damehoods for shopping, as you suggest. Should such an honor be introduced, I will be sure to put your name forward. I therefore return with thanks your package of receipts and store tags, which I looked at with interest and agree shows, quote, real commitment to sustaining the economy, end quote. Yours sincerely, Edwin Treadwell, Director of Policy Research.